All right, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. Just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, um, this is being recorded, and we will share the recording tomorrow. So I know it's always hard to be here on time, but we will share that, and you guys will have those questions about that. Um, the other thing is, if you have any questions, we do want this to be interactive. So just post them into the Q&A, and I'll do our best to answer them. To either to jump in and ask Dave to address the question live, or we'll try to address it offline with a typed answer in the background. So with that said, we're going to get started. So this is visualize attack change from threat reports automatically. This is an interesting little project that Dave worked on and came up with. Dave is our staff threat intel advisor. Dave, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and
Yeah, sure. Actually used to be a Feedly customer before I joined Feedly. I was doing cyber incident response and worked at the FBI for a big chunk of my career. And um, yeah, so it's a little bit about me, about 15 years in CTI, in CTI land. Basically, my story is I was in the trenches for a while and I got sort of burned out and found a really good excuse to join Feedly, which actually didn't even know I had a threat intel offering. I was a pro customer just using the RSS aggregation stuff. And yeah, so I'm happy I'm at Feedly and they let me kind of work this into my day to day. So,
awesome. Yeah, so Dave has been shifting a little bit from his kind of customer success roles into more of a product role, doing some strategy and doing a lot of other things, which is a little bit of why you see interesting projects like this coming up. But Dave, why don't you, before we even get started, we always ask a couple of finish the sentence questions. So um, here we go. So the first one, which is a little bit just about you, is like my guilty pleasure is
chocolate,
chocolate.
100%. Um,
That was
that's
easy.
that is the first thing that popped to mind. I think that's the rule, right? It has to be the first thing.
First thing, first answer is your best answer. So yeah.
Constantly thinking about chocolate and where to get my next fix. Mm.
I think mine's ice cream. Um, it has to be. I eat ice cream every day, and it's not good for you, but whatever. What about give me one thing you like to geek out on?
Like, I mean, honestly, it's this stuff. I do sim racing. That's like a new hobby I've got, and I basically my philosophy is I only have so much of like a bucket of work to do and to allocate time to. So I'm really choosy about the hobbies and like building stuff like this for the webinar. This is like a hobby of mine. I like building stuff. I like sim racing, F1. Um, yeah, that's
That's cool.
yeah.
I would say mine is probably health and fitness, learning about health and fitness stuff.
Oh, come on.
I do. I geek out on this stuff all the time. I watch videos. I'm like, anyway, it's bad. So ice cream, I have to counter it. That's the thing.
Okay.
Okay, so Dave, before I know you have a plan for this, but tell us a little bit about FlowViz and
Yeah.
before we do that, geez, I forgot about the most important thing as this marketer that I am. We do like to give you a little bit of background about Feedly really quickly. So Feedly, if you're not familiar with Feedly, Feedly is um, it's an open source threat intelligence platform that allows you to pull in millions of articles every day. It takes it from all these different kind of sources like blogs and advisories and vulnerability databases, all that stuff, and then pulls it into Feedly. It uses AI to look through every article and extract the the entities and the objects, and then it puts them all into what we call the Feedly threat graph, which connects all these objects together and gives you context. So whenever you are looking at a particular object, like a CVE, you'll have all the context that's behind that. What threat actors are related to it, what malware is used to exploit it, what if there's IOCs are related to it all. It's all put together in that context in the threat graph, and then we surface all that stuff in different ways. So on the right, you'll see collect. We use AI feeds to collect all this stuff so you can narrow it down to just the things that matter to you. So you're not seeing a bunch of noise, you're just seeing feeds of data, feeds of articles that are related to your priority intelligence requirements. You can analyze all that with these insight cards that pull all the information with all the context into one place. We have insight cards for every CVE, all the malware, all the threat actors, everything that we learn about, we build into an insights card. Ask AI is this awesome way of analyzing all this. So you can analyze insight cards, you can analyze dashboards, you can analyze a selection of articles. Report Builder is something that's a little bit maybe on the edge of of being released. So maybe I was a little bit premature there, but we have also newsletters and other ways that you can kind of build out your output in a way that is really cool and amazing and automated in a way that goes over and over again. And of course, you can share this with your tools in your stack. So we have no code integrations, and if we don't have one for one of your tools, we also have a STIX API that you can use to pull any of that information out. So I'll stop right there. You can go out to Feedly /threat dash intelligence and get a free trial. But I'll stop with the advertisements and go back to Dave. So Dave, why don't you start to take us through, like, what was the idea behind this? What was the need? What caused you to go build something like this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I kind of miss doing like traditional CTI work. So I kind of was very technical before, and I have a lot of security certificate. Well, not a lot. I have two that I maintain. But I needed CPEs, and I got tired of like reading books, doing things like that. So I always admired people like Florian Roth, who uh, contributed to the or developed the Sigma project. And so I wanted to do something that, I learned a lot from people, and I wanted to sort of like find something that was useful for people to employ in their day-to-day work. And so for me, it was like, what do I struggle with? And it was like looking at technical reports. I love reading technical reports, but I rarely have the time to really digest them. I like to take at least an hour to go through or like a really technical deep dive to understand what's going on. And even at the end of that, it's like it's hard for me to like really conceptualize what the different attack steps are. And I think getting the takeaways for me is really important. And I came across the MITRE attack flow a few years ago. I thought, hey, that's a great project. And so if you haven't checked it out, it's amazing. It has an online builder. That's an open source project. And you can create these flows that are visual, but it's all manual. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And then if doing incident response, if you're consulting for a client who needs help, you can't really spend a lot of time manually building flows. So I thought, hmm, for me, the biggest thing is to automate this process. And now that we have LLMs and yeah, there's so much AI stuff, and it's really hard to avoid it. Even if you're under a rock, there's still AI being shoved into the rock, I think. Um, so I was just thinking like how to take existing technology and not just throw a prompt at the problem, but really focus on visualization. Because I think UI, user experience, that is really a defining force, and why you would not just use ChatGPT or something like that. Having that visual to represent these concepts, these attack chains, I think is super powerful. So yeah.
Awesome. So, are you gonna, what's the next step? You're gonna show us this thing?
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's like
Yeah.
dying to see this thing.
Yeah. Okay, let's do this.
I guess the other thing that I'm curious is like, how did you, like, you just talked about the AI models, maybe sometimes, you know, Well, we all worry about hallucinations and things like that. How did you kind of test for that?
Yeah,
Control
yeah.
for that?
Hallucinations is something so like I try to think of like, okay, if I use an LLM, um, how do you use an LLM appropriately? Do you have it necessarily predict the future? Like, it's a predictive text generation tool, basically. That's what an LLM is. What it's really good at is summarizing data. And so I try to use the strengths of an LLM in a product like this. And to avoid hallucinations, I was really focused on, and let me just move this Zoom thing. You probably can't see it, but it's killing me. Like,
Yeah, we don't see it.
yeah. Um, so it's kind of like what Feedly does. I learned a lot. I took a lot of inspiration from people who work at Feedly, great designers, great team, but like the concept of like citing, citing the source text, really helps ground the LLM to keep it grounded in truth. So it's not hallucinating because if it's forced to regurgitate the source text, it should extrapolate from that a little bit more clearly. So I found that hallucinations went down quite a bit this way. So I mean, it's like it's not perfect. Sometimes you'll get like malware, for example, will be labeled for a tool that's misused. So there's certain things that can use a little bit tweaking. But yeah, so FlowViz is for me a great way to visualize stuff. This one is pre-built.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
There was a request to zoom in a little bit or make the screen a little bit
Oh yeah.
larger.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. So what it does is it will stream the results from the LLM to the screen and it will build it dynamically for you. And so everything has like a node details panel. And so this will have source text. Every single node will have source text so you can quickly see like where is this coming from? That was the big question I had is like I always want to verify where the heck this thing is coming from. If you need more details on the TTP, you can click here and it'll take you to MITRE's Attack Enterprise site. Um, I only support Enterprise right now, so it was, no, this is MVP basically. Um, and then every technique is basically designated to its own layer. So it's a sequential flow from one layer to the next based on technique. So you'll start off at the left of the MITRE ATT&CK lifecycle with the tactics on the left, and then you move right. So then you're moving sequentially. You can see there's different link labels here, and so the LLM is able to basically give it a list of the different types of link labels, and it chose the most appropriate one. So you can see like the progression here from technique to technique, how it goes through. And so with this, I was thinking, hey, this is great for threat intel, but in my past roles, I've actually done tabletop exercises, and I thought this would be a great way to do tabletop. So I was thinking, how do people use this for tabletops? Well, that's where I built story mode into FlowViz, and so that is a way to progress through this narrative step by step. So you can actually hit spacebar or click the button here, and it will start stepping through. There's like a cinematic mode where I went a little bit overboard on some things, but it'll blur out the non-focused elements, and you can like basically just go through all the different layers, all the different techniques. So it's like technique focused, but then there's other nodes like assets and malware and tools and infrastructure. So it captures all that stuff too. It can even go in reverse, go through it like this. So I thought, hey, this would be awesome to just do a screen share of this and go through a real attack at your company or it sit at your company for a tabletop, and then you dissect a real attack and see how resilient you are. How would you handle this? How would you handle um, phishing calls and that type of thing?
Um,
Yeah.
one question was, are you using STIX taxi labels or did you create some custom naming?
So for FlowViz, for how this is structured here, I basically I found it necessary to create my own data structure for FlowViz. And then I have a couple utilities that map to STIX 2.1, and also AFB, which is the um, attack flow builder, which is what you get on this site with MITRE's project. So I can go through a couple of the config options here just to let you know like what you can do with it. So say you build a flow. Maybe you don't like this blur effect or you don't like the lines. You can go into settings and you can actually turn off cinematic mode, and then you can actually change the time, how it lingers per step. So you can really like, you can either pause it manually or you can have it just kind of cycle through as like a nice story mode. So if you want to grab some popcorn and see this go, it's kind of fun. Edge styling, you can change the color of the edges. So you can change it to blue, for example, keeps it dotted. You can change it back to white, which I actually kind of prefer. You can have it solid, and then you can do straight lines or it can do elbows. So there's certain things I want to tweak here, but it lets you have a little flexibility. You can also move nodes around. I think I prefer to have the smooth ones for now.
Yeah, I like your smooth lines.
Yeah, you like the smooth? Yeah.
Okay, a couple of questions. When testing the tool, did you find it was accurate in terms of extracting TTPs from the CTI reports and building a flow from it?
In the recent, so there's a lot of prompt engineering behind the scenes. Initially, no, until I focused on extracting source text, then it changed, and then it got a lot more specific on the prompt. And then what was the other crucial thing was picking the right LLM model. So if you pick Claude 3.5, for example, it's a little bit too dumb to really extract all the finer nuanced details. So I had to go with the latest version. It's a bit more expensive, but the context window is also really big, so you can handle really big CTI reports. So that was the other thing I was worried about is like if you take a CTI report, sometimes they're pretty big. So the Claude 4 actually is able to handle really big reports. I think the character limit is 700,000, I think, tokens. I can't remember what it was, which is pretty big.
Yeah, kind of a related question is about these reports. How did you feed them in to this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, First thing though, I don't want to get there yet. I want to show the
Oh,
website. Just in case we get cut off and people need to leave and stuff. If you are interested in this project, check out FlowViz, flowviz.io. That's it. That's the name of the website, flowviz.io. And this will have all the information you need to get started. It has links, multiple links to the GitHub repo scattered across the site. It's actually kind of hard to find on GitHub because some other tools use FlowViz as the name. But yeah, go to flowviz.io and you should be able to get started. There is a quick start section here, and it will tell you how to run the tool. Okay. Just want to cover that quick. I can go over this in more detail in a little bit, but bottom line up front, I have to be true to my CTI analyst self. That's what you need to know. So to get back to your question, Shawn, what you can do too is you can also save the analysis. So this is saved locally. So this is client side. So there's nothing server side except for the API calls to the LLM. Everything else is local. You can save it, save the flow, and then reference it later. You can load it back in later. But to show you how it ingests tools, let me go to a new search and I'll start a new search. And so this is the main page. I say search, but it's creating the flow. Um, you can either do an article URL, and there's a built-in web scraper that will extract content from HTML and actually extract the images too, and feed the images to the AI. Um, So let's see here. There's the URL one, and then you can also paste in text. So if you have something else, maybe you have a PDF, you can basically just copy and paste it here, and as long as it fits under the character limit, it should accept it. So you want me to run one? Is
Yeah,
that what
but
this
I,
is
I
leading
think I
to?
think we maybe step back a little bit, and I think there's a lot of questions that are kind of all the same theme.
Okay.
One is like, how does this relate to Feedly data? Is this a separate tool that needs to be installed? Is it integrated with Feedly? Is it free to use? So some of those like backgrounds, so they understand a little bit more about what this is.
Yeah. So not connected to Feedly at all. This is a passion project that actually is a good supplement to Feedly, and I would love for Feedly to actually integrate at some point. The way I use this tool to test was actually went into Feedly and I created a search looking for threat intel reports, any articles with TTPs, and focused on cyber attacks. And this is where I kind of my playground for building these attack flows. I was looking for really interesting ones with multiple TTPs, high numbers. Here's one with 35. Actually, I think I did test that one out. If you want to see that one, we can just do that one quick here. Let's see here. Yeah, so it's a passion project. It's free. Um, the details are here. You do have to install it. You need to have Node.js installed, which is a uh, free platform. You can get it directly from nodejs.org. So the quick install instructions are here. You can clone the GitHub repo. And so you need to be a little bit code savvy. You don't really have to code anything. You just have to open the terminal and run this on your computer. And then you have to put in the Claude API key. So you do need like a commercial LLM, in this case, Claude. At some point, I will put up a hosted version. So less technical people who don't want to monkey around with doing all this command line stuff, they can use the hosted version. It should be a lot easier.
Is there plans for any other LLMs in the future?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that, and that's why it's I think good to open source this and get community feedback. I didn't want to build in every single LLM and then realize like that's a waste of time. I focused on one that did the job well and that I verified, and it has a vision API, so that made the image analysis a lot easier too. But I'm definitely open to expanding this to new LLMs. Any other questions, Sean?
Um, yeah, related to this API key. So it says, it's really awesome. Thanks for sharing, Dave. I'm looking at the GitHub, which mentions inputting the Anthropic API key in order to use Claude. Is it possible to leverage a locally hosted LLM model
Not
instead?
yet. Not yet. Nope.
Okay.
Definitely. If you want to put that feature in, let me know. Then I can work on it.
Yeah, well, and that to be clear, we've open sourced this, right? You put it out there on GitHub, so if
Mhm.
people want to do additional development and submit a pull request on some of these kind of things, of course that's available.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more I could have done with this, but I would have had to release it in a year or 6 months from now. So I thought, let's get this out there, let people start using it instead of me wasting time developing things that don't matter for people. So, but I'm definitely open to feedback. Yeah. So do you want me to like run one?
Yeah, let's run one.
Let's do it. All right, so go to article URL. And the cool thing is that when you put in your API key, it's handled server side so that the client is not exposing your API key every single time. You're not saving it locally like on the front end. This is all back end. So I think that's a better security practice. So actually initially when I did this, I did everything front end and then realized, oh, that's really bad. Like I'm a security person. I should probably engineer this a little bit better. So yeah, developers I think have a hard job. So yeah, this is that really technical one I found. So in Feedly, you can see, yeah, there's a cyber attack mentioned. Perfect. You want to make sure that you're feeding like something that's focused on a particular attack or like string of events connected to a campaign. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of like strange results because you're getting kind of mismatched campaigns and attacks. So yeah, this one's got 12 tactics and 23 techniques. So it's a really good candidate for the demo guys to shoot down on this call. So it takes a little bit of time. What it's doing right now is it's fetching the content from the server. It already processed it, and now it's building it dynamically in front of you. And you can kind of see how it steps through. And I used to have this where you would wait the entire time, and then the flow would just load all at once. But I thought that is terrible user experience because, like, what are you going to be doing? Do you know if it's working? And it made it a lot harder to do the streaming node building, but I thought that was worth it. I think it's kind of fun to watch, and you know it's working at least. I think when I did the demo on LinkedIn, I sped this part up a bit because it does take a little bit of time. But in the meantime, you can kind of go in and you can click on things, and some of it's queuing up to link later. So you'll see sometimes it like puts things off to the side for a second, and then it'll find the edge in the text that will link it together. So this happens a lot, like if there's a table, things like that. So now we've got it all mapped out, and let's see here. We can go through bit by bit. And sometimes it consolidates techniques too, if they're sort of like overlapped in some regards. So you can kind of pick through and you can see how it handles the infrastructure, which I thought was really cool. Trusted relationship. And for me, it's really cool to do this for emerging attacks. And then you really see the big picture, like, oh, trusted relationship. That is sort of the central point for a lot of these latest attacks or OAuth misconfigurations, things like that. Yeah, so that's how you build it. That's how you do it. You can also paste in. I don't necessarily need to demo that one, but you just paste in the text. Um, I can save this quick. I'll show you the saving and loading capability. Analysis here, save it, and then I'll go to a new search, paste text, and then you can pick a different one. Blue Locker campaign. Take this one. Okay, and it shows you in the UI like if you're close to your character limit or not. Um, Analyze text. I only did part of it. You can see here, and then if there are command line arguments, that those should be called out directly in the node itself. So that's a fun thing is seeing the command line arguments kind of get represented too. So what I'll do is um, you can export this, you can save it, you can load a older one.
It's still building it? How long does it take to build it?
No, that was a new one. That one took um, probably over 30 seconds or so, I think.
Okay, and just kind of a question on a rough cost. Like, so if you have to pay for the Cloud API, how much does each generation cost? Do you
I think it's like at least 30 cents. I'm trying to think of like averages here. It depends on how long your report is. So you can, the nice thing about the Cloud API is that you can kind of feed in, give it like a limit, and then it won't surpass that. It will eat that up, and then it'll not be able to charge you more. So you could do it that way just to be safe, and then just run a handful of reports. It just depends on the kind of reports that you feed it. Yeah, that's a good question though.
So the big question that everybody's asking about, Dave, is how's this relate to Feedly?
Yeah. So, so you can see here, so Feedly helped, kind of like we have this concept called Feedly Labs that we're spinning up. And so we're trying to sort of like look for really inspiring ideas where we build things for the community. And then if it turns out like it's well received, we'll try baking it into the product if we can. And so for this one, I think future plans would be to consider uh, adding this as another layer, a visualization layer on top of articles or on top of some of the dashboards we have. Um,
But
how it
you,
relates, yeah,
yeah, like you could almost see it like as you open up Attack Navigator that you could open up a FlowViz view or something.
yeah, you could try that. And yeah, the way I use Feedly for just finding articles to test. And it was a great way to find quality articles because we kind of break things up by, if there's TTPs, you can see, hey, there's 19 in here, and this must be a pretty detailed report. The DFIR report was a really great source of a lot of articles. So I like tested with articles where there was like nothing, and then articles where there was super tons of techniques mentioned. Um, But yeah, so Feedly was like a great research tool to like help me test this. And then like ideally in the future, this would be integrated in Feedly where maybe it's a different view as a visualization instead of exporting to Attack Navigator. Um, like if we go to the TTP dashboard here, we have like a flow option that we can export um, or somewhere else in the app. Yep.
Okay, another question. Once you generate the flow, can you edit the objects?
Nope. So it's purely a visualization right now, and you can move things around. But if you want to edit, what I recommend is exporting it to AFB format, or you can also export it as PNG or STIX. But when you export as AFB, that's the attack flow builder. Let's see here, I'll save that here. When you go to attack flow builder, you can actually open the flow. Let's see here. And it goes off screen for a little bit. You can see it here. So if you really want to edit it, you can see it tries to lay it out sort of like how FlowViz did it, but these are fully editable. And you can draw new edges and things like that too. So that took a lot of messing around to figure out how to export it into AFB format because there you have to basically position everything in the export. Um, so that's how you can do it here, and maybe in the future I'll have it so that people can edit text fields in FlowViz. Maybe they can draw new edges, change the text, delete.
Dave, if I'm correct, to upload reports, you had two options. One was if you had a URL, you could upload it that way, or if you had a file,
Text.
you could upload the file,
You can upload copied and pasted text. Hmm.
copy and pasted text.
Hmm.
So copy and pasted text or the URL.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Couple more questions. Okay, this one says, is GitHub updated? The project structure does not match with actual files inside the repo. I don't know.
Oh, that's an yeah. I might need to update the README.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I can update that, sure.
Is it possible to link several articles in the future, similar to what Feedly does in Ask AI?
Yeah, it's possible. I'm looking at automation and making this creating the visualizations through an API, but it's fairly complex. It's definitely not impossible, but this is where I am today. In the future, I basically have to automate what the front end is doing. Um, So right, like there's APIs that the app uses, but it's for retrieving text or processing articles, sending to Claude. But to create the actual visualization, that's all front end. So that's something I'm using React for, some React libraries. So I'd have to make an API focused on the front end stuff.
Is there an IOC view layer to see how the IOCs are linked to as opposed to the TTP headings?
Nope, you get the graph the way it is. If there's IOCs, they're displayed as infrastructure nodes.
Okay.
Adding like filters is a really interesting idea.
So can you show what does a IOC node look like?
Yeah, here's an
Oh,
example. It's not like traditional IOC, but IPs would also be shown like this. This is a email address for this extortion campaign. Um, so you can see that here. Yeah, it'd be cool to like export this and only have the IOCs, for example. So, but the focus of this wasn't so much the IOCs, it was more focused on the attack chains themselves. Because the IOCs, I mean, you can definitely try blocking with some of this stuff if you need to, but for me, it was more interesting to look at how the attacks progressed.
Dave, this is an interesting question. Did you try it with any non-English articles to see if it works?
Nope, great edge case, but I have not.
But there's really no reason why it wouldn't, given
Yeah,
models
yeah.
are pretty
LLM
much.
should be able to process language article, and the my thinking is that I'd probably be okay at it, because the prompt is in English, and the LLM would understand the text from foreign language, and it would be able to probably output English if you need to. We could do different language outputs potentially. Yeah, that's a good question. That's something that Feely gets a lot. It's like, do you handle foreign language? Yeah.
Which we do now.
Yep.
Um, okay, just trying to, boy, there's been a lot of comments in here. One was an interesting comment. Have you thought about saving these flows as sort of a fingerprint to identify similarities between different campaigns
Yeah.
and actor or malware activity?
That'd be amazing. So like an ability to compare different flows and maybe draw connections between them. Uh,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
where I need help from you guys.
That's right.
There's only so much I can do myself, right? I think opening this up is the right call. Just, not keep it to myself as a kind of a weirdo project, but to get really good ideas and having it, yeah, like, maybe diamond model, some techniques to look at what's common between the flows. Maybe based on infrastructure, like, oh, it's the same infrastructure here, or the same technique chain is being used. You can also do some of that with MITRE ATT&CK Navigator. So that might be another export option I can add to this.
All right. I'm seeing there was, I think I've answered or you've answered most of these.
Yeah, I mean, I think the show and tell part is that's pretty much it. You can see I loaded this up from a saved flow. I showed you how I can export and open into um, uh, Attack Flow Builder, the online tool from the Center of Threat Informed Defense. So that's where like if you want to really tweak stuff, you can do it there. But I mean, I'm definitely open to making this editable as well. It just introduces a lot more complexity.
That's a great question here. How do you want people to help contribute to the project? Should we be contacting you first or go through the GitHub repo or?
Yeah, you can go, there's a contribution page in the GitHub repo. So I'll just go there real quick. So if you go here, contributing. So all the instructions, and this is kind of like best practices, I think, for most open source projects. I mean, if you're a Feedly customer, you can also just email me. I don't care. It's fine. I don't know how popular this is going to be, honestly. But yeah, I think this is like the best way to do it for now, is just do it through GitHub, put a comment in. This is all also MIT licensed. This is like the most permissible license. I think if you want to use and abuse this any way you want to alter it, code of conduct, so we don't have people making other people feel bad. Um, but yeah, if you go to the GitHub repo, it should have pretty good instructions. I guess I need to clean up the project structure a little bit too, because I think I added quite a bit since I made that. But the instructions for actually running it are still true.
I see another question. Instead of articles, did you try providing any log data?
No, no. I mean, you could try putting log data in. I don't know how good it's going to be for now. So I'd have to maybe have a special prompt that optimizes it. So like recognizing the type of input as log, and the LLM would basically try to figure out what the patterns are from it. It would be quite different, but that's not a bad idea. I mean, it could be just another input.
Lots of thank yous, Dave. Lots of interesting project. A lot of people think that this could be a very interesting thing to help with threat modeling or other things. Several people have sounded like they would be interested in seeing it in Feedly. So, Dave, thank you so much for taking this project on and sharing it with everybody out here. Again, this is not really much of a Feedly presentation today, much more of a FlowViz kind of a concept thing. And of course, if there is a lot of interest, then we'll prioritize it and try to get it into Feedly with um, some in some way or another.
All right, cool. Thanks everyone. Thanks for jumping on, and happy to answer more questions. You can DM me on LinkedIn or whatever. There's no wrong way to talk to me. It's fine. So
Dave, are you Dave at Feedly or David at Feedly?
don't talk to David at Feedly.
Oh, is that the okay?
Totally. No, I'm serious. That's the wrong one. We've got two. I'm Dave at feedly.com. So you can message or email me directly. Um, but I'm pretty good at picking up on like spear phishing. So if you, I don't want to challenge people, but spear phishing.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, you just gave your email out. Who knows what kind of things you're going to have, right?
Yeah.
Malware in embedded images, right? Things like that.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, everyone. We'll send out the replay, the video, and I'll accumulate all these questions into a Notion doc and share that by tomorrow as well. So thanks, everyone. And okay, one more time. If you're interested in trying out Feedly, go to feedly.com/threat-intelligence, and you can read more about Feedly and start a free trial. Thank you.